Hello everyone, it's Sen from Stories Untold Till Now, and I'm back with another whodunit case. Also, just an FYI, this is not a straight, full-depth analysis of the case, but a broad overview. I wanted to see what you guys preferred, whether you wanted me to go completely in-depth, or if you just like the overall discussion of the topic. Alright, that being said, let's get into it. I'm sure we've all heard about Lizzie Borden, the woman who gave her mom 40 whacks and her father 41. Or that's how the song goes anyway. Lizzie Borden was born on July 19, 1860, in Fall River, Massachusetts. Her father was a wealthy man. His wealth accumulated from different areas. He had invested in mills, banks, and real estate. Lizzie's mother, Sarah Anthony Borden, died at the age of 39 due to uterine congestion and spinal disease. 3 years later, her father remarried a woman named Abby Durfee Gray. It was noted that the relationship between Lizzie and her stepmother was cordial. She, in fact, had never called Abby mother or by her first name. She always called her Mrs. Borden. Some view that was just a small indication of how frigid the relationship truly was. Lizzie was also worried that her father's wife was only interested in him for the money. Lizzie did have an older sister named Emma. During the time of the murders, she was out of town. Effectively, this keeps her out of the line of suspects. Because her sister basically knew nothing about the murders, she won't be talked about a lot, except of one key thing. Emma was protective of her younger sister, and together, the two sisters helped manage the rental properties owned by Andrew. The family attended the Congregational Church, an institution in which Lizzie was particularly involved in. Now we can finally reach the pivotal point of the murders. On Thursday morning, August 4th, 1892, Mr. Borden left home to conduct his business, leaving in the house, besides his wife, an Irish maid, Bridget Sullivan, who they also nicknamed Maggie, and their daughter Lizzie. Emma, once again, was away visiting. On his return, he settled on a couch for a nap. About 11:15 a.m., Lizzie, according to her testimony, discovered her father dead, repeatedly struck in the head with a sharp instrument. It was reported that he was whacked 10 to 11 times. Upstairs, his wife's body was found even more brutally mutilated. Examination proved that her death had preceded her husband's by an hour or so. She was found with 19 whacks to her body. Now, you would think that Lizzie would have immediately been seized or even booked for the crimes, but it doesn't happen that way. You see, Lizzie's testimony states that upon finding the corpse of her parents, she told the maid, Maggie, that she needed a doctor and sent the servant across the street to the family's physician's house. He, unfortunately, was not home. Lizzie then told Maggie to get a friend down the street. Yet, Lizzie never sent the servant to the Irish immigrant doctor who lived right next door. He had an impressive educational background and served as Falls River City's physician. Nor did Lizzie seek the help of the French-Canadian doctor who lived diagonally behind the Bordens. Only a Yankee doctor would do, aka an American doctor. During these times, there was a mass movement of Catholic immigrants settling down on the hill. To no one's surprise, an innocent immigrant, a Portuguese man, was accused of the crimes. He was let go because there was nothing to tie him to the case. The most unsettling part about everything is that when Lizzie was questioned in her home and even in her bedroom sometimes, it was noted that upon talking to different officers, that she seemed unable to recall events, she looked confused, or that her testimony to one officer to another differed. At this moment in time, because of her inability to keep her story straight, more suspicions grew. Another factor is that Maggie lived on the 3rd floor, yet she didn't hear anything nor see who did it. That is highly unlikely and suspicious. It is noted that Lizzie did work at a wealthy Central Congregational Church. The people she taught there and even worked there were adamant that she had nothing to do with this. After all, they saw her as a kind and benevolent woman. A Protestant nun. During the investigation, officers found that she tried to purchase prussic acid the day before the murders at a nearby drugstore. Prussic acid, for those who are wondering, is an acid that if consumed by humans or animals can cause them to die via asphyxia. This is because the component in the acids prevents the oxygen from properly binding to the cells, and therefore the lack of oxygen flows in the body, and then they die of suffocation. Another name for prussic acid is hydrocyanic acid. The other function of prussic acid is that they could be used to fumigate vermin. In this case, Lizzie says she tried to buy it to clean her cape. The issue is that this product, I could not find anywhere that it stated that it was a cleaning agent, only that it was a very effective agent of certain death, and that even if you were to use it, it would definitely ruin clothes. Lizzie was arrested on August 11th, 1892, just 1 week after the murders. During the week between the murders and her arrest, Lizzie burned the dress that she claimed was stained with paint. Prosecutors would later allege that the dress was stained with blood and that Lizzie had burned the dress in order to cover up her crime. Lizzie was arrested and sentenced to jail for 9 months. The issue with that is that Lizzie, unbeknownst to most of the town, had a lot of supporters from everywhere. Women from the church and suffragettes fought and believed that Lizzie could never do such a thing, and they showed up every day and filled the courtrooms. Lizzie's supporters protested that at the trial she would not be judged by a jury of her peers because women, as non-voters, did not have the right to serve on juries. Lizzie could afford the best legal representation throughout her ordeal, but during the preliminary hearing, one of Boston's most prominent defense lawyers joined the family attorney to advocate for her innocence. Hey guys, it's Sen from Stories Untold Till Now. I am just butting in from the future here over a fact that I actually found while editing this video, so I'm just going to insert it now. Basically, on December 2nd, 1892, and a preliminary hearing followed where the evidence against Lizzie was found suitable to withstand a jury trial. At no time during the investigation or legal proceedings was there any suggestion Lizzie Borden was mentally ill or not suitable to be tried, even though during the trial neither the defense team nor the prosecution ever raised a sanity issue. Lizzie Borden could afford the best legal team defense possible, and she got it. Because her father had no will and his wife was also dead, the Borden estate immediately fell to sole survivors Emma and Lizzie Borden, and they eventually split it. In today's value, Lizzie's Borden had about $4 million in assets to work with. She hired three-times Massachusetts Governor George Robinson, who later billed Lizzie's today's equivalent of $500,000. The district attorney's office also put out a heavy hitter with William Moody leading the prosecution team. Moody went on to be the United States Supreme Court judge. The dueling balance was offset by three panel judges sitting on the Borden trial. One was Justin Dewey, personally appointed by the bench by then Governor George Robinson. There was a change of venue for Lizzie's Borden trial. To ensure fair and impartial jurors, the trial took place in New Bedford, Massachusetts instead of Fall River. It convened on June 5th, 1893 and ended on June 20th. I felt that was an important fact for me to go ahead, fix up, and put into the video because, like you guys, I actually don't like misinformation out there, so I was very pleased to have found this. I apologize that it's going to be kind of choppy in the video, but I did want to clear that up. Okay, thank you, sign out. Think about how smart that is. Lizzie is trying to show her innocence by looking pitiful and not using any of her wealth. Her believers backed her up because she wasn't trying to do anything shifty for the court. Her supporters came up with excuses under the sun, anything to get her free. In fact, Lizzie's demeanor in court with District Attorney Qualton perhaps failed to fully participate, also surely influenced the outcome. Here lies the gender paradox of Lizzie's trial. In a courtroom where men reserved all the legal power, Lizzie was not a helpless maiden. She only needed to present herself as one. Her lawyers told her to dress in black. She appeared in court in a tightly corseted dress and flowing clothes, and holding a bouquet of flowers in one hand and a fan in the other. One newspaper described her as a quiet, modest, and well-bred, far from the brawny, big, muscular, hard-faced, coarse-faced looking girl. Another stressed that she lacked Amazonian proportions. She could not possess the physical strength, let alone the moral degeneracy, to wield a weapon with skull-cracking force. A Harvard chemist reported that he found no blood on the two axes and two hatches that police retrieved from the cellar. Lizzie had turned over to the police 2 days after the murders the dress that she allegedly wore the morning of August 4th. It had only a minuscule spot of blood on the hem. As for her confusion when talking to the police, the family's physician said he prescribed her medication to help her sleep days after the murder, so that could account for the confusion. Her attorney stressed that the prosecution offered no murder weapon, possessed no bloody clothes, and as to the prussic acid, Lizzie was a victim of misidentification, they claimed. Lizzie was indicted on December 2nd, 1892. Her widely publicized trial began in the following June in New Bedford. Lizzie did not take the stand in her own defense, and her inquest testimony was not admitted into evidence. The testimony provided by others proved inconclusive. On June 20th, 1893, Lizzie was acquitted of the murders. No one else was ever charged with the crimes. Lizzie and Emma inherited a significant portion of their father's estate, which allowed them to purchase a new home together. The Borden sisters lived together for the following decade. Although free, Lizzie was considered guilty by many of her neighbors, and thusly never enjoyed acceptance in the community following her trial. Her reputation was further tarnished when she was accused of shoplifting in 1897. In 1905, though, Emma abruptly moved out of the house that she shared with her sister. The two never spoke again. Emma may have been uncomfortable with Lizzie's close friend with another woman, Nance O'Neill, although her silence on the issue has fueled speculation that she learned new details about the murders of their father and stepmother. No members of the household staff ever offered additional information on the rift, even following Lizzie's death. Lizzie died of pneumonia in Fall River, Massachusetts on June 1st, 1927. Emma Borden followed 9 days later in Newmarket, New Hampshire. Now, the Borden house is still up to this day, and it is something that you can actually tour, you can actually stay over, and it's something that personally I am bothered by. I don't know about you, but I feel it's a little bit disrespectful on the fact that they're allowed to, you know, make a living out of it, you know, over someone's murders. I mean, the same could be said for St. Augustine and their hauntings, but I feel that that's just a little bit different because you're actually learning more about historical landmarks and then the unfortunate things that happen with it. This one is just the straight murder and then how you can try to get one of the ghosts to haunt at you. It depends, really. At this point, all I could say, it depends on the viewer. It depends what you like to do. If you're into paranormal and ghost hunting, I mean, I guess go at it. I will have all the links of the research that I used in this video down below, as always. And as to why this case is still talked about to this day is due to the fact that many people believe that Lizzie should have been absolutely arrested. I am one of those people. I do believe she killed her mother and father. I don't think it was an accident. I don't think it was that she hired someone. Everything was too convenient, I guess you would say. And the fact that her maid Maggie was barely, like, talked about in the case was actually very concerning to me, because if she was on the 3rd floor of the murders, how is it that she did not hear a single thing? Like, that is actually very interesting to me. Anyway, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, sub, and comment. I would like to know your thoughts on the way I did this video. Do you like this version of the video? Should I do a different version? Should I go more into depth? As always, I am growing with you guys, and your feedback does mean a lot to me. Thank you so much. We're almost at the 300 mark, and here's to 1,000, right? Stay sunny.